Every time a new flagship phone comes out like this Pixel 8 Pro, there are questions that are very similar being asked. Is this worth it upgrading from the Pixel 7 Pro? And almost certainly the answer to that question is going to be no, because flagship phones just haven't evolved that rapidly, right? From the 7 Pro to the 8 Pro, yeah, the 8 Pro is better, but it's not a huge distance. In order to see the change, how much these phones have truly improved, you got to go back further than that. So what we're doing in today's video is we're going to take a look at this phone, the Pixel 1, the original Pixel 1 XL, and we're going to compare it to the Pixel 8 Pro, and we're going to see exactly how far we've come in these last 8 or so years. So here we are, guys. We're looking at two Pro devices many years apart, the Pixel 1 and the Pixel 8. We're going to kind of run through some of the biggest things that have changed, the improvements that have occurred over the last, 7 additional generations of these devices. First thing I want to say is I absolutely adore the appearance of the original Pixel 1 here. This thing looks fantastic still today. I love the two-tone blue. Big fan of the rear-mounted fingerprint scanner. We should take off this lovely case by Thinborn real quick, I guess, and get a look at the actual device here. Part of me does wish that these newer Pixels had some more vibrant colors like we used to get, but I think you can obviously see some other really big differences. These Pixels only had a single camera on the back, and that is teeny tiny. There's no camera bump at all because this is so much a smaller sensor than what we have on these more modern devices that do in fact come with 3 very large camera sensors, great big flash, and then of course a temperature sensor because I don't know, why not? Look how much bigger the flash is compared even. In terms of the overall size, it's really not that much bigger, but of course if we flip them over, you're going to see a really big change in the way that these screens look. This is, basically an edge-to-edge screen, very small bezels, where this thing did have quite a large chin and forehead back then. I still actually think that screen does look pretty solid. I doubt it's going to be able to go nearly as bright as we can now. Yeah, that's definitely not nearly as bright as the newer Pixels are, but still, I think a pretty solid looking screen. And of course, we're running the Pixel launcher, but this is quite a bit behind in terms of many different updates because it is in fact so old. Android 14 here, and I believe this one made it to Android 10. Yeah, we're looking at Android 10. October the 6th of 2019 is my security patch level there, just a little bit behind. If we look at the quick settings here, there have been some really big changes made here. This is very much that old style. We have the Material You theming, the Material You design up here now. And if we jump into our settings, again, that is very much true. This is beginning to look quite dated next to the Material You design. Let's go ahead and do something that might be stupid. Let's try launching some applications and let's see how much faster the new Pixel is to the old Pixel. I mean, these things were pretty well optimized back in the day, so let's see exactly what we're going to get. Let's start with the Google Play Store and see. I mean, that's almost instantaneous, definitely lagging behind a little bit. My, how far we have come. Let's do Feedly. And actually, really quickly, I want to say something. Maybe it's because of the color of the background of this folder, but there's so much more contrast here. The colors are popping so much more, and I'm just not noticing that. Well, maybe we'll open up Google Photos in a minute and compare the screens a bit more deeply. Let's do Feedly, and this is an app that does take a little bit of time on pretty much every device because it has to load basically an RSS feed. Pretty big advantage there on the new Pixel. How about YouTube Music launching from the widget? We got to our icon really quickly there, but again, yeah, we're just into the application so much faster. How about YouTube, another app that everybody does enjoy using? Boom, okay, there you go. And how about an application that did not exist when this phone came out, Threads, which you can see loaded quite quickly over there. That really wasn't too bad, but definitely we are seeing the performance gains over the years. Of course we are. I thought that would be kind of fun to check out though. And to really close the loop on performance, and also because why not, we're going to run 3D Mark, the Wildlife Extreme Graphics test. This is something that honestly, compared to some other devices like the Galaxy S23 Ultra, the Pixel 8 Pro is not necessarily the best in the world at. As you can see here, we're running somewhere in the high 40s to 50 FPS on the original Pixel. We are still struggling to actually begin this test. I'm going to be curious to see exactly how far apart these two scores are, just so you can see this. It doesn't actually even show the FPS. What does that mean? Is it less than 1 frame per second? I don't know. Let's just skip ahead to the results. And yeah, I'll say that's a pretty, pretty big jump. Oh my goodness gracious. 260 versus 8526. I think it's pretty safe to say here that modern smartphones have gotten a lot faster than they used to be. Let's take a look here at this same photo on both devices of this leaf. I just want to see if the color reproduction is indeed a little bit different. Look in this kind of crook of the leaf here. Definitely more orange here than it is there. If we look here, let's zoom in on these leaves. I believe that is still kind of about the same. It's not a massive, massive difference, actually. The screen still does look pretty darn solid. Of course, one of the biggest features of these Pixels is the assistant. So let's see how much better that has gotten in terms of, just speed. What's the forecast for today?
It'll be mostly sunny with a high of 76 and a low of 43.
Let's turn down the volume for the next couple of tests here. That was pretty surprisingly close, actually. And I guess, a lot of the stuff is being done in the cloud, so maybe that shouldn't have been a big surprise, but it kind of was for me. What are the latest news headlines? Yeah, not too bad. The original Pixel holding up pretty well. Comparing the different edges here, a couple of things that I actually really do appreciate is how thin this device is, and I also appreciate the textured power button. Why did we go away from that? Pretty darn good stuff. Of course, fingerprint scanner here is in the display. Like I mentioned, this one is on the back, which does work. It's okay, right? Like I'm going to try and hit this, and then you'll be able to see the delay. So there it is, and there that is. It's not, the fastest thing in the world in particular compared to more modern implementations like what we have here. But, it did the job back in the day. There was nothing on that side but your SIM tray, 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. People still miss that, I guess. And then, of course, on the bottom, quite similar. Speakers and a USB-C port. Let's take a listen to these speakers as well, actually. Let's jump into YouTube Music once again, and let's crank this volume all the way up, and let's see what this sounds like. Definitely fairly tinny, not a whole lot of bass there to speak of. Let's try and jump to the same spot here on the 8 Pro. Yeah, that's a much fuller, more dynamic sound with a whole lot more bass. Of course, there are also about a million things that the Pixel 8 has that the one just has no analog for, right? Like we didn't have Now Playing, where it was going to be hearing music in the world around you and telling you what it was. We didn't have things like Magic Eraser. We sure didn't have things like Magic Editor. Again, there's about a million innovations that have come to these Pixel devices between the 1 and the 8 that I can't really compare. So if you're in the comments and you're saying, oh, why didn't he show off Google Assistant giving summaries of web pages that you're on? Because there's nothing to compare it to. So this next section might be a little bit ridiculous, and I'm not going to dwell on it for too long for obvious reasons, but we have to look at the cameras, right? We have to compare these two. So what we're going to do is we're going to do exactly that. The first photo is going to be on the Pixel 1. Photo number 2 on the Pixel 8 Pro. So let's jump into this image here. And as you can see, I tried to tap and I thought I had it, but it did not actually focus all that well. But other than that, this is in sort of like a crummy lighting area, and it's doing an okay job. There's a little bit more noise than we're used to seeing these days, but overall, I'm kind of impressed by this. If we go to the Pixel 8 Pro, I mean, yeah, that's a better image. It actually was able to focus properly. We have the nice bokeh, the focus falling off with that much larger sensor. But this is pretty admirable for such an old phone. In a little bit better light, again, we do have a little bit more noise than maybe we're used to seeing, but like, guys, this is pretty passable. Like, I'm pretty impressed with this. The Pixel 8 Pro, until you start pixel peeping, really doesn't look all that much better. Just that slight reduction of noise is really about all that I'm seeing. Really good job by that very old Pixel. This was taken with 4x optical zoom on the original Pixel, and again, this is so much better than I expected it to be, but of course, the Pixel 8 Pro has an ultra wide that we just don't have access to, as well as a 5x optical zoom, which is, I mean, it's just head and shoulders above anything that old Pixel 1 could do. But still, this is just, it's better than I was expecting. Selfie camera, it's a little soft, right? The detail in my face, it looks like it's maybe being smoothed or something like that. Detail isn't super duper impressive. The Pixel 8 Pro, yeah, you can see pores and so forth, much more in detail. And of course, we have portrait mode now, which is something that did not exist when this phone came out, so it doesn't have it. So shooting video here, the Pixel 1, I believe, is just 1080p. I don't think 4K was even an option. The Pixel 8 Pro is running 4K 30, so these things are definitely going to look pretty different. How far exactly has video come? Stability, details, sound. I should be switching back and forth between these two devices as we go. I'm expecting a pretty decent difference. So guys, there you go. Maybe the silliest comparison that's been made to the Pixel 8 Pro yet here on YouTube, comparing it to the original Pixel. But to me, I thought this was pretty interesting and actually a lot of fun to make. And the differences, and sometimes the lack of differences, were surprising and I think noteworthy. Hopefully, y'all enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. Subscribe for more content just like this. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.